to unveil this book.
Why am I this one that seeks to simplify the understanding of the second one is on the way. It's not just a book.
Yes, the structure actually did a wonderful job.
Ambassador Muhammad Jamil Abubakar Waziri, who sends his warmest regards and deepest convictions regarding the monumental work we are gathered here to celebrate. Today we are celebrating far more than the publication of a book. We are celebrating the power of narrative. We are celebrating knowledge, insight, and a profound understanding of our continent, Africa. Africa is not just a geographical space, it is a land of immense diversity, rich culture, vast opportunity, and unbreakable resilience. For too long, our stories have been told through external lenses, as the book reviewer have clearly mentioned. And I can remember also a saying that goes, until the day the lion learns to write his own story, every story shall glorify the hunter. So this type of write-ups by our very own Africans is a welcome and applaudable development. So such work as Africa at a Glance changes the narrative by presenting our continent in a concise, accessible, and deeply intellectual manner. This book serves as an invaluable resource for students, researchers, policymakers, and every individual who seek a true understanding of Africa's journey. I highly commend the author, Mr. Joseph and Defiki, for this labor of love and intellect, as well as everyone whose dedication brought this brilliant publication to life. So now, as the representative of the chairman of this occasion, my mandate today is simple: to guide this ship and ensure that this masterpiece receives the lift-off it truly deserves. Writing a book of this magnitude takes years of silent sacrifice. Launching it successfully, however, requires a collective and a community effort. So knowledge is an investment in our future, and an investment in this book is an investment in Africa's story. Therefore, I want to call on each and every one of us, distinguished guests, honorable members, corporate leaders, and all lovers of progress in this room, to step forward today and contribute generously to support this book launch. Let us back this intellectual triumph with our collective resources. As for the chairman's contribution to this noble cause, I assure you it is ready, and I will announce it later. I'm holding back for now because I refuse to set a ceiling or cap the generosity in this room. I want every one of us to feel free to give abundantly without looking at a benchmark. Let your appreciation of knowledge lead the way. As we prepare to formally unveil Africa at a glance, may it inspire informed conversations, greater appreciation of our continent's immense potential, and renewed commitment to its development. On behalf of Ambassador Muhammad Jamil Abubakar Waziri, and indeed, on behalf of each and every one of us gathered here, I congratulate the author, and I wish this book a global impact. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Nice, highly practical references, work that seeks to simplify the understanding of African continent and its constituent nations. At a time when the world is increasingly interested in African history, geography, politics, economic, and cultural diversity, this book emerges as a valuable guide that presents essential information in an accessible and reader-friendly format. One of the most outstanding strengths of Africa at Glance is its ability to condense a vast amount of information into format that is easy to be understood and be used. The author actually demonstrates a deep appreciation for the challenges faced by students, tourists, researchers, teachers, parliamentary, and policy analysts who often struggle to gather reliable information about African countries from scattered resources that we have. This book addresses that challenge. It brings together relevant facts, figures, and insight in a single volume. It serves as a gateway through which readers can quickly access information about the various nations that make up African continent. The book is best described as a compendium of Africa, African continent history, resources, and the people of Africa. The title itself, Africa at a Glance, perfectly captures the book's mission. What is the mission of this book? To provide a panoramic yet concise view of Africa's rich diversity and complexity. Educational significance of this book cannot be overestimated. It's good for secondary schools, it's good for colleges, universities, research institutions. The book provides a dependable resource for a study of African history, geography, social studies, political science, international relations, contemporary African affairs. The author has succeeded in presenting information in a way that promotes learning, research, intellectual curiosity. Students can easily locate facts relevant to their studies, while teachers can utilize the book as a supplementary teaching aid or resources. In an
Africa at a Glance. Why this book? And why now? We live in a time when Africa is discussed more than it is understood. A glance from the outside often ends at conflict, hate, and stereotypes. A glance from within too often ends at complaints, excuses, and divisions. Mr. Ndefiki offers a third glance, a factual, balanced, and forward-looking snapshot. At a glance does not mean superficial. It means clarity. It means cutting through noise to see structure, potential, and responsibility. And that is exactly what this room represents: the structure, the potential, and the responsibility for Africa's future. 3 insights for this audience. Number 1, for our political leaders and parliament, the book reminds us that policy without perspective is blind. Africa's strength is in its diversity. Our laws, budgets, and debates must reflect that complexity, not reduce it. Governance that sees Africa at a glance will plan for 54 realities, not one template. Number 2, for our traditional rulers, you are the custodians of identity and cohesion. The book shows how culture, values, and institutions have held communities together through centuries of change. In nation building, your role is not ceremonial, it is foundational. Number 3, for our entrepreneurs and captains of industry, Maziri's glance reveals what investors miss: a continent of 1.4 billion people, the world's youngest workforce, and the fastest urbanization rate. The risk in Africa is real, but the risk of ignoring Africa is greater. The book challenges you to move from extractive models to enterprise models that builds local capacity. The responsibility at a glance. A glance can change direction. When a driver glances at the mirror, he avoids a clash. When a leader glances at data, he avoids bad policy. And when a citizen glances at history, he avoids repeating it. This book gives us all that mirror. It does not ask us to pity Africa. It asks us to see Africa clearly so we can act on it wisely. In conclusion, Mr. Joseph Maziri and Tefiki, congratulations. You have written more than a book. You have written a reference point. Thank you.
Africa at a glance. Africa at a glance is a compendium of the 54 African nations, regions, landmass, populations, capitals, currencies, and post-independence electric periods. There is an old saying that the best things come in small packages, and that is exactly the case with Africa at a glance. If you look at the book, it looks so small, but very mighty. Writing a book about Africa that is both packed with facts and easy to read is no small feat. Usually, you either get a massive, dry textbook or shallow summary. This book breaks the mold. It is genuinely small but mighty. Within its pages, the author manages to neatly break down all 54 African countries by the regions. For each country, you get a clear snapshot of its land size, population, capital city, currency, and a complete list of its leaders from the day of independence right to the present day. The value of Africa at a glance lies in its versatility. The author has built a multi-dimensional reference tool that serves a diverse ecosystem of stakeholders. For students and teachers, instead of wading through dense, confusing history books, students get a clean, straightforward guide. It helps them quickly understand how the continent is structured without getting overwhelmed. For researchers and academics, if you need to quickly double-check a fact like country's population, its currency, or who was in power in a specific year, this book saves you hours of searching through unverified websites. Like the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council and the National University Commission to adopt Africa at a glance as a recommended textbook for general studies across colleges and universities. If we want our graduates to be leaders on the continent, they need to know the basics of African geography.
Old and New Mombasa. And the Old and New Mombasa is a place where you have the old architectural building that reflects 100 years, 150 years, still standing. Then you move to the New Mombasa where you have the contemporary building. So I was taking to the two sides of, how many of you have heard about Professor Ali Mwanza? How many of you? A political scientist. When his grandfather was buried and his father was buried, and if you come to that ground, you see write-ups about how they migrated to Mombasa. Now, why I'm saying this is that in Nigeria, there's what we call a complete lack of documentation of our life. Hello? There's no documentation. There is no history that can pass on in black and white to the next generation. Everybody is on the now. But if you go to East Africa, you really discover that some of the things that their grandfather and father were reduced in black and white. So it saves you the trouble of imagining what is going on, because you can lay hands on things that are written down to be able to write the history of your place. And I want to ask you, how many of you can tell me that the building that your grandfather built 100 years ago is still standing? If you have one, can I see your hand? Only one. Two. Now, what we do that we discussed yesterday, and we're interested in owning today. But I have learned in the course of time that if you don't preserve the yesterday, there will not be tomorrow. So that's why there's no much write-up about the activities or events in our life. People are only interested in the immediate. Nobody is interested in it. One of the persons that raised hands about the building that's over 100 years, I think I've been privileged to be to that place. And that building, when you look at the architectural design, you find that it was built with stone, and it is still standing. Because the father decided to preserve what his grandfather built. And that's why we look back and find out that we don't have history. Because we have forgotten where we're coming from. Hello? Yes. Are we together? Yes. We have forgotten where we're coming from. We are not interested in today. So what is invoked now is what matters to us. But a people that want to be remembered can only be in place when they remember to put in place what happened yesterday. Why I'm listening to this point, I just want to know the essence of this good presentation. Because we are lacking in the area of knowledge because we are refused to translate knowledge and transmit knowledge to the next generation. Now, what makes a good book?
It's more or less like what I would say chronological events of what has taken place in various countries within Africa. But I have not had time to actually go through it. So I cannot say much about the book for now until I've read it.
Sir, your prayers for the author.
Yeah. What?
Your prayers for the author.
Oh, my prayer is that what is going to go from central to but before then, I want to submit the book that we are not only celebrating the Lord today, everybody present here should buy, read it, and also share it. Because until you share an idea, it will die in the shelf. And what we are trying to achieve will not be.
It's not just a book to be read and share it. It is a book to be discussed, share, and live. The author has done what great writers do, taking ordinary experience and shape it into extraordinary insight. Joseph, Mazri, and Daviki, you have gone, giving us more than page and ink. You have given us a mirror and a map.
The second one is on the way to Africa and our Western education, the good, the bad, and the overall. That is where it tells how Africa has been, the effect of positive effect of education, Western education, the negative effect of Western education, and where it has left us to this point. You will see it from that book. It's on midway to the text. Very sorry to explain that this year. And I still want to beg all of these places and Sylvia to still honor me in a better way. Thanks. As you're going back, may God give you